we were raised to bend rules.
You are a man.
How's work, Valerie?
Thank you, Chrissy.
Hey, what the hell are you doing?
Going to work just like you.
This ain't a nightclub. Good morning, Mr. Jackson. I got your new guard here. Her name is Valerie.
Hello.
We ain't gonna let you in if you buy some weed.
Something.
I'll buy a perk. Also, play such a bastard.
Call the governor's secretary, have her post a position for a death row prison guard.
Hello and thank you for visiting Caption Media. This is my review of the drama comedy movie Shelter in Solitude, without any major spoilers. We'll simply give you the review. So let's get going. First of all, the box office statistics. A low-budget movie called Shelter in Solitude managed to earn $14.2 million in its first weekend in the United States, outpacing blockbusters like Indiana Jones and the Dial of Fate, which only managed to make $11.7 million. The writing of this movie has tremendous character development, and it's undoubtedly an American story of friendship, trust and optimism. This is an endearing, independent film with guts. The story follows the same general path as Dead Man Walking, but instead of a nun visiting a condemned prisoner, the protagonist is a pub owner with a brief and distant history as a country singer. The story shows the development of a trusting relationship between two offbeat people who respect one another's goals and convictions and discover deep self-introspection in their newfound connection. The movie depicts the bond that develops between the characters Valerie and Jackson as her unflappability melts his armour. The jail warden and Valerie's older brother Dwayne, who is continually frustrated by her bending and breaking rules, are played by Robert Patrick, who perfectly complements the role. Shelter in Solitude introduces what could be classified as faith-based filmmaking by the back door, and we're fine with that here at Caption Media. The film fails to adequately portray the circumstances surrounding the crime. It didn't seem real, and a blend of real drama and humour was used to illustrate it. Laughable, tragic and triumphant themes all come together in this movie. Oscar-worthy performances are given by Siobhan Fallon Hogan and Peter Macon. Days later, I was still thinking about the movie's influence. My favourite movie of the year is this one. I love how funny Peter is. Valerie is excellent. She frequently appears on sets that appear to have been broken into while wearing a pink nightgown and having her hair teased into a mountain. Hogan brings a lot of fire to the role, so it's unfortunate that the inconsistent lighting in the jail wing, which was a major coup as a filming location, steals the frame's depiction of the light and dark that the inmates are drawing out with their own eyes. The lead's beige clothing contrasts with the beige jail walls, whitening the composition and making it difficult to display the performances effectively. Being unable to find a tone is what prevents Shelter in Solitude from ever achieving the grandeur it demonstrates the potential for. It sometimes looks like it's attempting to be something sombre and heartbreaking like The Green Mile, but at other times it just appears satisfied to be a comedy about a fish out of water. Although the film is usually sincere, it can be difficult to take it seriously when the comedic relief is a little too over the top at times in terms of excessive humour. Another issue is that the movie's themes come off as too sentimental and preachy. Shelter in Solitude, like many films about the criminal justice system, is all about second chances and forgiveness, but what makes this movie stand out is its unexpectedly upbeat approach despite the horrors that occasionally take place. Hogan manages to reach her emotional objectives despite some of the character work being a little shoddy. The protagonist does have their story arc, but the development she goes through in the final two-thirds of the film doesn't precisely follow what you'd anticipate from her introduction in the first act. The filmmaker Viveki Musiar does a good job of bringing out the best in this script's comedy and drama. It's worth checking out the interaction between Val, Dwayne and Jackson, and the setting of Syracuse in New York State adds some fantastic local flavour. On the positive side, I feel that it's a well-made, high-quality movie. The film's setting and presumed time of shooting during the COVID-19 pandemic gives it a smallness that is exacerbated by the rather bland technical qualities. Sadly, despite what the title would suggest, Shelter in Solitude doesn't really deal with this isolationism and frequently feels a little disjointed as a result. Nevertheless, the cinematography was visually stunning, with gorgeous vistas that gave the story depth and passion. The actors performed superb performances that give the characters humanity and depth. In spite of the flawed lighting and small scale of production, the performances are excellent throughout the entire movie, elevating it. Hogan, who first gained recognition as a character actress, is now getting a chance to be a leading lady, and she excels, with flawless comedic timing and also a gently heartbreaking empathy. As excellent counterbalances to Hogan, while still offering powerful performances in their own right, Robert Patrick and Peter Macon are also excellent in their parts. Since his role frequently requires him to be soft-spoken, if not completely wordless, Macon in particular stands out. The meticulous construction of each scene gives the viewer a sense of immersion and allows them to connect with the story. The film then has this quality of being soul-stirring and thought-provoking as it explores significant topics and leaves an enduring effect. Siobhan Fallon Hogan has a fantastic performance in Shelter in Solitude. The result is a film that feels passionate even in its flaws. Shelter in Solitude is another film that aims to capture the social collapse that the virus caused. Hogan humanises a group of people that aren't commonly shown on television or in movies, and especially not with this level of toughness. Hollywood enjoys portraying the underprivileged as having the wealth to wear designer cosmetics. Here's a movie that introduces us to a remarkably boring rural town with limited chances and cocky police officers like Chris, who strive to impose rules but encounter resistance from a community that knows him and his family like the back of their hands. As you may anticipate, the third act is when the movie gets extremely gloomy. The lack of a silver lining is something you might not have expected. I was anxious about Shelter in Solitude since it appeared to err on the side of portraying unbelievable circumstances in favour of a pleasant conclusion. Thankfully it doesn't. Despite how cruel it could be, it remains rooted in reality. Siobhan Fallon Hogan's work succeeds in bringing humour to a tragic situation. The early days of the COVID outbreak are cleverly incorporated into her story, and the disruption is subsequently exploited to put Valerie in the unusual role of a jail guard for Jackson's final week on Earth. When it comes to depicting lonely prison corridors, dreary downtowns, and Val's messy yet cosy home, director Vivek Muyasya conjures beauty out of misery. Even Dwayne, whose authoritarian, rigid approach to things contrasts with Val, who takes the initiative with her heart. Even Dwayne is grounded in the humanity of each of his characters in the writing, which maintains a strong connection to that humanity. Shelter in Solitude is one of the year's most welcome surprises. It aims to turn a contemporary Christian film away with its tiresome concerns with proselytizing and phony persecution in search of something concrete and very meaningful. The countryside is filled with both laughter and grief. The personal life of Honky Tonk Angel Val is a complete disaster. She's humorous, vulgar, and frequently raunchy. My interest was held the entire time I was watching this film, which took me on an extraordinary experience. I was shocked to see how well it captured the sense of isolation and self-discovery. Even if the film wasn't a masterpiece, it nevertheless managed to do everything without a single mistake or plot hole. Under its translucent veneer, genius lies. Without a question, it's the jubilation of the purist. Everyone who enjoys excellent storylines and filmmaking ought to watch this movie, in my opinion. You won't be dissatisfied, I can assure you of that. On a scale of 1 to 5, critics give the movie Shelter in Solitude a rating of 4 and they recommend it. As I said, it's my favourite movie of the year so far, and I would give it a 9 out of 10. Please leave a comment if you enjoyed the movie. Subscribe and don't forget to press the bell button if you want more updates. I'm off now, but I'll see you again shortly. Cheerio.
your Lord Jesus to protect my daughter.
Good morning, Mr. Jackson. I got your new guard here. Her name is Valerie.
I read an article. They said you was the hero.
I said, I cannot sit here all day in silence.
What'd she say?
I didn't say a word.
Knowing that in 8 days I gotta put him to his death.
You are a man.
Now you bend